Now we're live. Hello, and welcome to another fantastic poetry experience with your host, me, Alex Vellis. As you can see, I'm back into my old room today, which is nice. So I did the 14-day quarantine at my buddy's house. That was fun. I'm just leaning this way so that you can all see that I've got a master's degree. Yeah, so it's nice to be back. It's nice to be home. It's nice. I'll tell you what, the nicest thing is I got to sleep in a bed last night, which is something I haven't done in 2 weeks. I did it once in 2 weeks because I was allowed once. But yeah, so it was really nice. I'm going to be reading from a book of poetry that isn't mine. And I'm going to be reading primarily, I say primarily, they're all going to be dead poets, hopefully from at least 60 years previously to the time that is now. That's a good sentence. Well done, Alex. Yeah, so this is Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright, much loved poems you half remember. And I think one of the exciting things about this show is that I haven't read any of these poems before, ever, probably. And I think what's exciting about that is that you and I are getting to hear them for the first time together. And I think that's really nice to build that sort of community that, you know, we're having this sharing experience. So huzzah, let's crack on, I suppose. Right, I've been doing this a few times because it turns out if you do lots and lots of live streams, eventually you run out of things for yourself to read. Yeah, so this is Lord Macaulay, Thomas Babington Macaulay, Horatius, from Lays of Ancient Rome extract. And Lord Macaulay was born in the 1800s and born in the 1800 singular and died in 1859. So we're 100% sure that he's dead, and therefore there is no you know, legal issues, I suppose. Yeah. Also, I don't know how any of these poems go. So not only have I not this was long. Not only have I not read them, but I don't know how they go. So this will be exciting or terrible. We don't know. We don't know. We're excited. So this is, oh, my Roman numerals aren't great. 25. So Canto 25, I suppose. But the consul's brow, that was already wrong. But the consul's brow was sad, and the consul's speech was low. And darkly looked he at the wall, and darkly at the foe. Their van will be upon us before the bridge goes down. And if they once may win the bridge, what hope to save the town? Then out spake brave Horatius, the captain of the gates, to every man upon this earth death cometh soon or late. And how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods? And for the tender mother who dandled him to rest, and for the wife who nurses his baby at her breast, and for the holy maidens who feed the eternal flame, to save them from false Sextus, what wrought the deed of shame. Hold down the bridge, Sir Consul, with all the speed ye may. I, with 2 more to help me, will hold the foe in play. In yon straight path 1,000 may well be stopped by 3. Now who will stand on either hand and keep the bridge with me? Then outspake Spurius Latius, a Ramnian proud was he. Lo, I will stand at thy right hand and keep the bridge with thee. And outspake strong Herminius, of Titan blood was he. I will abide on thy left side and keep the bridge with thee. Horatius, quoth the consul, as thou sayest, so let it be. And straight against the great array forth went the dauntless 3. For Romans in Rome's quarrel spared neither land nor gold, nor son nor wife nor limb nor life in the brave days of old. Then none was for a party, then all were for the state. Then the great man helped the poor, and the poor man loved the great. Then lands were fairly portioned, then spoils were fairly sold. The Romans were like brothers in the brave days of old. Now Roman is to Roman, more hateful than a foe. And the tribunes beard the high, and the fathers grind the low. As we wax hot in faction, In battle we wax cold, where four men fight not as they fought in the brave days of old. I actually really enjoyed reading that. I enjoyed why there's so many Roman numerals. The next one is in Roman numerals too. But yeah, really enjoyed reading that. It made me feel like have you ever heard Callum Collins' Beard poem? It felt it's like in a similar rhythm to that. If you haven't heard that poem, check it out. Callum Collins, he's on Facebook. So this is Philip Larkin, 1922 to 1985. So he's definitely dead. Connor, can I read things from that period of time? Not that period of time, who died in 1985. Is there any legal issue? I'm going to take the silence as it's fine. Also, I feel like Philip Larkin is like, that's fine. So Philip Larkin, 1922 to 1985. This is MCMXIV. Don't know what M is. Gonna get 100. No, that was what C is. C is 100. 1,000? 10? So it's something 100, something 10, 4. I don't know what the numbers are. Those long uneven lines, standing as patiently as if they were stretched outside. The oval of Villa Park, the crowns of hats, the sun on mustached archaic faces, grinning as if it were all an August bank holiday lark. And the shut shops, the bleached established names on the sunblinds, the farthings and sovereigns and dark cloth children at play, called after kings and queens, the tin advertisements for cocoa and twist and the pubs wide open all day. And the countryside not caring, the place names all hazed over with flowering grasses and fields shadowing doomsday lines. Under wheat's restless silence, the differently dressed servants with tiny rooms in huge houses, the dust behind limousines. Never such innocence, never before or since, has changed itself to past without a word. The men leaving the gardens tidy, the thousands of marriages lasting a little while longer, never such innocence again. That was actually the end of the poem. I thought it was longer. That was much darker than I was expecting it to be, but I'm guessing it's about war. I think all of these poems are about war, if I remember correctly, this section. Yeah, so that makes sense. Oh, sweet. So we definitely know this chap's dead because it's Wilfred Owen. 1893 to 1918, strange meeting. Let me just see if it grinds. Grinds? Rhymes is what I meant, and I just read the word groined. Ugh, terrible. What a great time. Strange meeting. It seemed that out of battle I escaped, down some profound dull tunnel, long since scooped, through granites which titanic wars had groined. Yet also their encumbered sleepers groaned, too fast in thought or death to be bestirred. Then, as I probed them, one sprang up and stared, with piteous recognition in fixed eyes, lifting distressful hands, as if so to bless. And by his smile, I knew that sullen hole. By his dead smile, I knew we stood in hell. With 1,000 pains that vision's faces was grained, yet no blood reached there from the upper ground, and no guns thumped, or down the flues made moan. Strange friend, I said, there is no cause to mourn. None, said that other, save the undone years, the hopelessness. Whatever hope is yours was my life also. I went hunting wild, after the wildest beauty in the world, which lies not in calm eyes or braided hair, but mocks the steady running of the hour, and if it grieves, grieves richlier than here. For by my glee might many men have laughed, and of my weeping something had been left, which must die now. I mean the truth untold, the pity of war, the pity war distilled. Now men will go content with what we spoiled, or discontent boil bloody and be spilled. They will swift with the swiftness of the tigress. None will break ranks, though notions trek from progress. Courage was mine, and I had mystery. Wisdom was mine, and I had mastery. To miss the march of this retreating world into vain citadels that are not walled. Then, when much blood had clogged their chariot wheels, I would go up and wash them from sweet wells, even with truths that lie too deep for taint. I would have poured my spirit without stint, but not through wounds, not on the cess of war. Foreheads of men have bled where no wounds were. I am the enemy you killed, my friend. I knew you in the dark, for so you frowned. Yesterday through me as you jabbed and killed, I parried, but my hands were loath and cold. Let us sleep now. Well, that was something else, wasn't it? Wow, okay. That was really powerful, I think. Well, I think it was really powerful. Wow, okay. This next one's by William Wordsworth, 1717 to 1850, so 100% super dead. This is the prelude extract. The French Revolution as it appeared to enthusiasts at its commencement. I'm just going to have some water though. I'm thirsty. Oh, I just got, probably should have checked those messages. Oh, M is 1,000 as it turns out. I probably shouldn't have read that Philip Larkin poem. Whoopsie. I'll just know that from now on. Yeah, William Wordsworth, the French Revolution as it appeared to enthusiasts at its commencement. Okay. Oh, pleasant exercise of hope and joy. For mighty were the auxiliaries which then stood upon our sides, we who were strong in love. Bliss was it in that dawn to be alive, but to be young was very heaven. Oh, times in which the meagre, stale, forbidding ways of custom, law, and statute took at once the attraction of a country in romance, when reason seemed the most to assert her rights, when most intent on making of herself a prime enchantress to assist the work, which then was going forward in her name. Not favoured spots alone, but the whole earth, the beauty war of promise that which sets at some moment might not be unfelt among the bowers of paradise itself. The budding rose, above the rose full blown, what temper at the prospect did not wake to happiness unthought of. The inert were roused and lively natures rapt away. They were they who had fed their childhood upon dreams. The playfellows of fancy who had made all powers of swiftness, subtlety, and strength their ministers, who in lordly wise had stirred among the grandest objects of the sense, and dealt with whatsoever they found there, as if they had within some lurking right to wield it. They, too, who of gentle mood had watched all gentle motions, and to these had fitted their own thoughts, schemers more mild, and in the region of their peaceful selves. Now, was it that both found the meek and lofty, did both find helpers to their heart's desire and stuff at hand, plastic as they could wish, were called upon to exercise their skill, not in utopia, subterranean fields, or some secreted island, heaven knows where, but in the very world, which is the world of all of us, the place where in the end we find our happiness or not at all. Yeah, so these are all about war. We've got a couple, we got, how many more on war? Okay, we've got like, I don't know, 6 or so more on war. And then I should have checked what the next one was on, but I forgot to. So, back to our old friend, E.E. Cummings. Now, E.E. Cummings does a couple of things that I am less of a fan of. So, doesn't capitalize eyes. I don't know why. Aesthetic, I guess. Also, the well, so to begin with, I really disliked Cummings' bastardized use of punctuation, but now actually I've grown quite fond of it. It says so much more. I think maybe I just didn't get it to begin with. E. Cummings, 1984 to 1964. So he's definitely dead. Pretty sure. Okay, on copyright. Next to, of course, God, America, I. That's what this is called. That bodes well, doesn't it? Next to, of course, God, America, I. Love you, land of the pilgrims, and so forth, oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early, my country, 'tis of centuries come and go, and are no more. What of it we should worry? In every language, even deaf and dumb, thy sons acclaim your glorious name by gory, by jingo, by G, by gosh, by gum. Why talk of beauty? What could be more beautiful than these heroic, happy dead, who rushed like lions to the roaring slaughter? And they did not stop to think they died instead. Then shall the voice of liberty be mute. He spoke and drank rapidly a glass of water. There we are. So yeah, there's no punctuation there. I just had to sort of guess when it ended. Edmund Spencer. Oh, you are mega dead. Oh, and it's... So this one's in Old English. So I already don't know what some of these words say. So this bodes super well. Because you've already heard me like stutter and stumble over a few lines. Because obviously reading and trying to perform when you don't know what's coming up is kind of difficult. But this, I've just had a quick look because of the time period, which is 1552 to 1552 to 1550. Let's try that again. He wasn't 7 when he died. 1552 to 1599. So, and that's Canto 1. How long is this? Sweet. So I get to butcher this for like just about a page. So, good times. The Fairy Queen extract, Canto 1. The patron of true holiness, foul error doth defeat. Hypocrisy him to entrap, doth to his home entreat. A gentle knight was pricking on the plain, clad in mighty arms and silver shield, wherein old dints of deep wounds did remain, the cruel marks of many a bloody field. Yet arms till that time did he never wield, his angry steed did chide his forming bit, as much disdaining to the curb to yield, full jolly knight he seemed and fair did sit, as one for knightly gists and fierce encounters fit. But on his breast a bloody cross he bore, the dear remembrance of his dying lord, for whose sweet sake that glorious badge he wore, and dead as living him ever him adored. Upon his shield the like was also scored, for sovereign hope which in his help he had. Right faithful, true he was in deed and word, but of his cheer did seem too solemn sad. Yet nothing did he dread but what? That ever was dread. Upon a great adventure he was bond, the greatest Gloriana to him gave, the greatest glorious queen of fairy land, to win him worship and her grace to have, which of all earthly things he most did crave. And ewer as he rode, his heart did earn to prove his puissance in battle brave. Upon his foe and his new force to learn, upon his foe a dragon horrible and stern. Also, it just... What did I even just say? So it gave me a... it gave me like a, rundown of some words that I might not understand. And even though there was a whole load of words that I didn't understand, the ones that it gave me is juiced, which is joust, and yadrad, which is feared, or dreaded, which is the word that I went, what? Because it's spelled Y-D-R-A-D. Yadrad. Idrad. Drad. Idrid? I don't know. So, Rudyard Kipling, 1865 to 1936. This is If. And I think I know this one. I don't know it. Like, I know it exists, I think is a better way of phrasing that. Rudyard Kipling, 1865 to 1936. If. Okay. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Oh, that was actually lovely. Like, I feel like okay, I didn't read it like super well, but I feel like that is essentially a speech that I would have liked my dad to have said to me. I would have liked a speech about anything, if I'm honest. There's something to say, I'm still here. I guess that's the funny thing about life, really, isn't it? You know, you wish that you can have all these things, and you wish these wonderful things can happen to you, but you only wish they could happen because they didn't. Which I know sounds like an odd comment. But I don't know if, like, the people that had, you know, speeches and stories and things told to them by their fathers about how proud they are of them. I don't know if those things mean a lot to people, because I haven't experienced it. So, you know, it's not really a conversation that you can casually bring up, is it? You can't turn around and be like, oh yeah, has your dad ever given you, you know, like a life advice and praise at the same time? That would just sound so strange. So the interesting thing about well, there's lots of interesting things about this virus that's going on, but one of the particularly interesting things is I was intending to start a PhD in October, in which I would go out and find my. Oh, by the way, when I was talking about that, my stepdad, my dad, he does say things like that to me, but it's different. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's different, or it's different to how I imagine it would be. And I'm not saying it's worse either. It's just different. Anyway, but yeah. So I was meant to be starting this PhD in October, and the whole idea of it is to go out and find my biological father, and essentially just ask him why he left. See what he has to say for himself. And the reason that, like, you know, I was doing this PhD now is because it's a time-sensitive PhD. I heard a while ago that my bio dad, which sounds like a shit comic book, my bio dad is dying. Which is a lot to take on when you think about it. But yeah, this virus has almost certainly killed him, which gives me a sense of loss like no other. Not a loss of the man that he is or was, because I don't know really either of those two things. I don't know what they are. But it gives me a sense of loss because now I will never be able to find out. And it's funny that in his probable death, he has taken from me everything. If I'm totally honest, that's pretty devastating. That even in death, we just plucked out that last little bit and just said, no, you can't have this, Alex. I've replaced you once before, I will destroy you once again. And it's funny that the only people that really ever hurt us are the ones that are closest to us, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, so, I swear stuff like this happens in every stream that I do for WinchesterFest. Reading poetry, and then have a really dark and reflective moment. So this next poem is G.K. Chesterton, 1874 to 1936, The Secret People. Oh, it's a long one. Also super dead, so we're in luck. I know. That's such an interesting way of phrasing things. Does this rhyme? Yes, it does. Smile at us, pay us, pass us, but do not quite forget. For we are the people of England that never have spoken yet. And there is many a fat farmer that drinks less cheerfully. There is many a French peasant who is richer and sadder than we. There are no folk in the whole world so helpless or so wise. There is hunger in our bellies, there is laughter in our eyes. You laugh at us, and love us, both mugs and eyes are wet. Only you do not know us. We have not spoken yet. The fine French kings came over in a flutter of flags and dames. We liked their smiles and battles, but we never could say their names. The blood ran red to Bosworth, and the high French lords went down. There was naught but a naked people under a naked crown. And the eyes of the king's servants turned terribly every way, and the gold of the king's servants rose higher every day. And they burnt the homes of the shaven men that had been quaint and kind, till there was no bed in a monk's house nor food that man could find. The inns of gods, where no man paid, that were the wall of the weak, the king's servants ate them all, and still we did not speak. And the face of the king's servants grew greater than the king. He tricked them, and they trapped him, and stood round him in a ring. And they knew grave lords closed round him, that had eaten the abbey's fruits, and the men of the new religion with their Bibles in their boots. We saw their shoulders moving to menace or discuss, and some were pure and some were vile, but none took heed of us. We saw the king as they killed him, and his face was proud and pale. And a few men talked of freedom, while England talked of ale. A war that we understood, not came over the world and woke, Americans, Frenchmen, Irish, but we knew not the things they spoke. They talked about rights and nature and peace and the people's reign. And the squires, our masters, bade us fight and scored us never again. Weak if we be forever, could none contemn us then. Men called us serfs and drudges, men knew that we were men. In foam and flame at Trafalgar, on Albuera plains, we did and died like lions to keep ourselves in chains. We lay in living ruins, firing and fearing not, the strange fear faced of the Frenchmen who knew for what they fought. And the men who seemed to be more than a man we strained against and broke. And we broke our own rights with him, and still we never spoke. Our patch of glory ended. We never heard guns again. But the squire seemed struck in the saddle. He was foolish, as if in pain. He leaned on a staggering lawyer. He clutched some words that I'm not going to say. He was stricken, it may be. After all, he was stricken at Waterloo. Or perhaps the shades of the shaven men, whose spoil is in his house, come back in shining shapes at last to spoil his last carouse. We only know the last sad squires ride slowly towards the sea, and a new people takes the land, and still it is not we. They have given us into the hand of new unhappy lords, lords without anger or honour who dare not carry their swords. They fight by shuffling papers. They have bright dead alien eyes. They look at our labour and laughter as a tired man looks at flies. And the load of their loveless pity is worse than the ancient wrongs. Their doors are shut in the evening and they know no songs. We hear men speaking for us of new laws strong and sweet, yet is there no man speaketh as we speak in the street. It may be we shall rise, the last as Frenchmen rose the first, or wrath come after Russia's wrath, and wrath be the worst. It may be we are meant to mark, with our riot and our rest, God's scorn for all men governing. It may be beer is best, but we are the people of England, and we have not spoken yet. Smile at us, pay us, pass us, but do not quite forget. Yeah, so that was by G.K. Chesterton. That was interesting. Was that about England being overthrown? Okay. So this one is also by G.K. Chesterton. And this is Elegy in a Country Churchyard. The men that worked for England, they have their graves at home, and beads and birds of England about the cross can roam. But they that fought for England, following a falling star, alas, alas for England, they have their graves afar. And they that rule in England, in stately conclave met, alas, alas for England, they have no graves as yet. Well, this is the last poem. Oh my God, I just saw what the next one's about. So this was all about war, this section. The next section's all about death. Oh, blow me down with a leaf. Doesn't make any sense. Blow me down with a feather. A. Houseman, 1859 to 1936. Here dead we lie. Here dead we lie, because we did not choose to live and shame the land from which we sprung. Life, to be sure, is nothing much to lose, but young men think it is, and we were young. Oh, mate. Oh, that was absolutely devastating in 8 lines. I'm actually just going to read that again. Here dead we lie, because we did not choose to live and shame the land from which we sprung. Life, to be sure, is nothing much to lose, but young men think it is, and we were young. Oh, that's fairly devastating. So anyway, on to chapter 7. Far away into the silent land, death. Especially in earlier times, when life could indeed be nasty, brutish, and short, death and the unknowable afterlife have proved fertile subjects for the imagination. No traveller can report back on this final voyage. Epitaphs like Ben Jonson's for his eldest son are deeply moving, still striking a chord with readers today, because there is something universal in the subject of grief. Earlier poets viewed death in religious terms, with the comforting image of the beloved in heaven acting as a balm for the writer and the reader who have been left behind. Later, the erosion of old certainties complicated thoughts of death, and in Victorian literature, a cult of beautiful, poetic morbidity emerged. There are some of the most familiar and most evocative verses about life's final mystery. So I think, okay, I can read a couple. Edgar Allan Poe, 1809 to 1840. Annabel Lee. Okay, this rhymes as well. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. She was a child, and I was a child in the kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, and I and my Annabel Lee, with a love that winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that, long ago, in the kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud by night, chilling my Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in the kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the side of the sea. I figured that probably could have been more dramatic. I think I have enough time to do two more. This is John Donne. John Donne, I don't know how to say that word. 1570, is it Donne or Donne? D-O-N-N-E. 1572 to 1631, so mega dead. Sonnet 10, Death Be Not Proud. Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me, from rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be. Much pleasure, then from thee must flow, and soonest our best men with thee do go. Rest of the bones and soul's delivery, thou art slave to fate, chance, kings and desperate men, and dost with poison, war and sickness dwell, and poppy or charms can make us sleep as well. And better than thy stroke, why swellest thou then? One short sleep past we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. So I don't know how to read a sonnet, apparently. Yeah, apparently I can't. Not only can I not read a sonnet properly, but I also can't read a sonnet written in Old English. So there's some exciting things for you. I actually have enough time for two, and that's because this one's by Emily Dickinson and the next one's by Elizabeth Jennings, and I'm a big fan of both. Actually, the next one's not by Elizabeth Jennings because she is still, there's a copyright there. Emily Dickinson, 1830 to 1886. Because I could not stop for death. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove. He knew no haste. I had put away my labour and my leisure too, for his civility. We passed the school, where children strove, at recess, in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain, we passed the setting sun. Or rather, he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, but only gossamer my gown, my tippet only tulle. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then, 'tis centuries and yet feel shorter than the day. I first surmised the horse's head toward eternity. Shame I can't read Elizabeth Jennings. And this is my final one. This is Ben Jonson, 1572 or 1573, they're not sure apparently, to 1637. My first son. Oh, I read the first line, I'm just like, well, this is sad. Farewell, thou child of my right hand and joy. My sin was too much hope for thee, loved boy. 7 years thou wert lent to me, and I thee pay, exacted by thy fates on the just day. Oh, could I lose old father now? For why will man lament the state he should envy? To have so soon scaped world's and flesh's rage, and, if no other misery yet age, rest in soft peace, and asked, say, here doth lie Ben Jonson, his best piece of poetry. For whose sake, henceforth, all his vows be such, as what he loves may never like too much. Well, it's been sad, guys. It's been really sad. It's been a very sad experience for all parties. But poetry isn't always sad. And it's important to remember that poetry doesn't come from devastation. I mean, it can do, but it doesn't have to. Not everything has to be devastating for you to create art, for you to create poetry, for you to draw something out of your of yourself. It just happens to be that all of those ones were. Anyway, yeah, so my name's Alex Vellis. You can, if you want to help out with WinchesterFest, you can donate to our coffee, which is ko-fi.com /whiskey and beards. Or you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, which is it's all the same. So it's at Alex Vellis Poet, ALEXVELLISPOET. And yeah, please like and support all the work that we're doing at the moment. It's really important, and I really enjoy it, and I would love to be able to continue doing so. So yeah, I'm going to leave now, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye-bye.